Hello, welcome to the Legion Beginners Training Program. Today we're going to talk about how to tie your belt, how to actually put on the kimono, or commonly referred to as the gi. First things first, you have to put on your pants. You'll see here on the front of the pants have different types of fasteners here. This one has sort of a more broad loop for the actual cord itself. Some are thinner, some only have one, some have four, some have seven. The point is you need to put these strings through the loops, meeting at the front. To tighten the waistband or loosen it, you reach in at your hips here and you can pull, and you see how that will loosen the waistband. And then to tighten, I pull the loose end and that will tighten the waistband. Once it's tight, I pull at the front like so. And then this has a pretty long cord, so I'm going to do a double knot. So I just cross, obviously, like you would tie a pair of shoes, basically. You're tying once, doing the first bow over the top, through. For a double knot, I'm going to keep them vertical until I tie my second knot. From here, I'll tie, and that will turn it a horizontal square knot. So you go vertically and then tie again, horizontal. Make sure that's nice and snug. You want to make sure that that is tight so that they don't fall off, because a lot of times people will grip in the belt area itself to get different control points for actual grappling, and this could pull your pants down. So make sure that you're wearing some sort of undergarment, compression shorts, or something more athletic. And that is how you tie your pants. After you tie your pants, you have to move on to the most important part, the belt. I've got my black belt here. First things first, the gi material, you'll see it has two sides to it. These are called the lapels, and this area here is called the skirt. So the lapel and the skirt. You always want the left side to go over the right side, okay? Left over right traditionally is how you tie your gi here, making sure that the corners line up with each other. I don't want it tied in the center like this. You can see it would not be as effective or snug. So I go left over the right side here. Then I take my belt and I make sure that the ends are even here, finding the center point of the belt. So now this will be the center point because those two at the bottom are in line. I make sure that I start with the stripe on this side, whether it's black or white or red, doesn't matter. This one is going to start on the right. So I make sure that the stripe itself is on the right. I take the center point and place it right on my belly button, just below my belly button, actually around my hip bones. So a little lower than you might think. You don't want to tie it at your midsection. I go behind my back here. I'm going to cross it at the center point again and switch hands. I've been bringing those two ends back in front like so. The reason we started with the stripe, this part here on the right, is because we wanted it to end up on the left for it to be traditionally correct. No one's going to yell at you if it's on the wrong side, or even notice probably. So I have these two ends. I pull this tight around my hips here, going in front. The stripe side goes over the top of the other side here. I layer it over the top of the belt, and you can see how I tried to line them up as much as I could to be stacked on top of each other, not like this. So I line it up stacked. The stripe goes over and then underneath both loops here. So I go underneath both of them and pull it all the way up. Keep this one straight along your stomach. This one goes straight down. Okay, this will ensure that you get a nice horizontal knot at the end. If you start pulling it sideways here, it won't result in that. Now, the side this is called the bar, right? This is the bar which holds your stripes for your different rankings. Here goes over the top again. So I go over the top of the bottom end, and then I go through the hole here. And now I give it a sharp, swift tug, and that will secure it pretty tightly and neatly. So that's the simple, fast way when you're in between sparring rounds or it starts to fall off during the drilling course. You can just take it off, retie it really quickly and effectively. You'll get pretty good at this motion, and you'll remember that the stripe side goes over and then under, and then stripe side goes over and then through. So this is your working end, the working end of the knot itself, ending up on the left side. And if your belt is long enough, all of the lettering, once you're a black belt, should end up on this side, but I have too much lettering. Maybe my belt's just a little too small, but they should all be on this side, ideally. There's another variation how to tie your belt if you absolutely don't want it to fall off during training. Some people don't like when their belt falls off all class and they have to keep retying it. There's a way to do it so that it won't fall off, or at least will stay secure up to 10 times longer. So you still find the center point how we did in the previous instruction. Here, I bring it around in the same way, get my working end over the top, underneath both loops, and then again over and through, but this is where the key change happens. You see here in the light, this loop, the one coming from the left to the right, here, it's part of the working end, right? So the working end comes around and underneath and over. So I go through, and then the working end is gonna go underneath this loop. So I tuck this part through and down. So previously we were just going across. If I tuck it through this, the extra friction on the gi results in a very pretty looking knot, because you can see now this part, they're both underneath, and creates a nice little angle down like this. And this is a very secure belt that won't shimmy loose as you're rummaging around or doing your different drills or sparring. So this is the secondary method if you want the belt to stay on. Some people strategically like to have their belt fall off during rounds so they get to retie it and rest a little bit. So this is optional because a belt can be used as a grip in jiu-jitsu, so some people like to let the belt fall off. Other people like to keep it secure. I kind of flip and flop between the two different styles.